Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to the podcast. How are we doing? It is Monday. It is 2 Mondays before Christmas. So I just want to do a little wellness check. How are you feeling right now? I am getting mixed reviews depending on where you're at in your life and what season of life you're in, and maybe what work you've done on yourself. I'm getting mixed reviews on how everyone's feeling. So I just want you to take a minute because maybe you haven't done this in a while. I want you to take a minute and I want you to put your hand on your heart and I want you to just take a giant, deep breath. And I want you to just let that exhale be an actual exhale. How are you? Can you check in on yourself? Like, how are you really today? I know for many of us, we are in what I've heard called like the last minute holiday scramble. I kind of have been like given this unknowing gift this year because we are actually leaving town this Friday, the 19th, to go visit my family up in Washington. And we're coming back on Christmas Eve. And when I booked this, I hadn't thought about the fact that that meant that I have to be entirely Christmas ready by the night of the 18th. And when I realized this a few weeks ago, I was like, oh shit. But as I get closer to this day, I'm actually so grateful because that means whatever happens between now and this Thursday, the 18th, is going to be, I'm going to be done. Whatever it is, it's going to be enough because I'm going to spend 5 days with my family and relax and enjoy and just have so much fun. And then we're going to get back on Christmas Eve and I'm going to need to be Christmas ready. So by the time we leave this Thursday night, whatever is done and whatever is not done is not going to get done. And while for a moment that felt like pressure, right now it feels like a whole lot of relief because it's just there's no last minute scramble for me after this Thursday. So I'm actually very excited about that. Um, but I do want to talk today about asking for help because if you are listening to this podcast, my guess is maybe you identify as a high achiever. Maybe you are someone who is known to be able to do it all. I know for so many of us and for so many of you that are listening that I get to chat with now so much, which I'm loving, and so many of you that I coach and so many of you that I get to do life with, you are someone who has probably said things throughout your life like, no, I've got it. Thanks though. Or when people ask how you are, you're like, good, just super busy. And we kind of deflect. We kind of deflect like with our busyness. And so we don't receive help very easily because we have been rewarded and validated and loved our entire life for being able to do it all. And I know that that used to really be something that my ego loved when people would say, gosh, how do you do it all? And I'd be like, oh, I just figure it out. And that served me for a long time, or I thought so. But what I realized in the last few years, especially, is while I was doing it all, I was also lacking presence and connection and peace, things that are really important to me because I was very busy doing it all. And over the last few years, I have really started practicing both asking for help and accepting help when it is offered to me. And what really helped me reframe this was realizing that as an Enneagram 2, it is my superpower, it is my gift to show up and serve and help other people. And that is such a blessing to me. But when I was blocking people from doing the same for me, I wasn't reciprocating that blessing. And what it really does to the people closest to us is it creates some distance. It creates a barrier when we are unwilling and unable to receive from them. And so I put myself through a little challenge. You guys are going to hear this from me a lot is when I have new awareness like this, or I decide I want to make a change in something in my life, I find a way to create an active challenge around changing it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about my monthly mood boards at the end of this podcast because I'm actually going to be doing a free workshop for my monthly mood board method in January, which I am so excited about. But what that allows me to do is to focus on one or two things every month. And one of the things I focused on last year, beginning of 2024, actually, was I focused on asking for help and receiving it for 30 days straight in some capacity. So whether that was asking for help from my husband or my kids within my home and then really allowing myself to receive it, or the bigger challenge for me was asking for help from people outside of my home. And practicing this for 30 days straight changed my brain and changed my experience so much because it allowed me to see that not only am I able to accept help and it feels really, really good once we get past the discomfort of it, but it is such a blessing to let other people help us. And that 30 days changed a lot for me because when you get into the world of manifestation and learning how the universe works and all of the things that I'm so fascinated with and just loving to learn about, receiving is part of the magic. And for those of us that have had this little shell on and this armor on that has blocked us from receiving, we are blocking so many of the blessings that are trying to make their way to us because we're trying to do it all on our own instead of letting God and the universe like work with and for us. And so this is going to be a huge focus for me as I walk into 2026. And so what I realized is I'm doing things like checking the box on it. Like my husband is so, I mean, he's a helpful human anyway, but since I did that challenge, like the role that he plays in our home and with our kids and in with me, I mean, he is just so, I accept help from him so easily. Same with my kids. I'm pretty good about it with my parents. Like I have these set of like safe places for me to receive. But what had me laughing last week was I had a friend who we had made plans to meet up last Wednesday, and my car was in the shop. And I was trying to figure out a way that I could still meet up with her that wouldn't disrupt our plans. I was like, oh, I could get a Waymo and like Waymo to our early morning workout class that we were going to take together. And then I'm like, or I could just ask her for help. And so I did. And she was like, oh my gosh, finally, I get to help you. And it was so fun. It was so fun to receive that text. And she was so grateful that I allowed her to not only come to my house and bring me coffee. And we ended up walking around my house and having the best time. But then the next day she came and picked me up at 5:30 in the morning and we went to a workout class together. Then she dropped me back off at home because I still didn't have my car back. And I told her, I said, I actually felt discomfort receiving the help on the first day, but like, it's just a matter of practice. And I know this sounds so silly, and maybe it sounds silly to some of you, but I know for many of us who have been really valued for being independent and taking care of things on our own and always saying like, no, I got it. I'll figure it out. Thanks anyway. It's uncomfortable to receive even the tiniest bits of help, but she just felt so grateful that I was like letting her help me and that I was able to receive it. And then another fun example is my parents reached out and they're like, can we take the kids for a night so that you and Dan can have a night to finish all of your Christmas stuff? And so tonight they're actually going to pick both the kids up and take them for the evening overnight and then drive them all the way back in tomorrow morning for school. And like, it feels so good to feel so supported. And that's what I want this message to really be about is as we walk into the new year, whatever it is that you want to create in 2026, I want you to imagine how it would feel to be fully supported in whatever you want to set out to create. Because we are not in this alone and we are not meant to do this alone. And so I love to imagine, like, if I was fully supported in my business where I could stay in my zone of genius, which is doing this, it's teaching, it's podcasting now, it's coaching, it's spending time in this chair, doing the things that I am the very, very like best at. They are in my zone of genius. What if I found support in everything else. If you haven't read The Big Leap, it's a beautiful book about our zone of genius, our zone of excellence, our zone of competence. And it talks so much about how we hit these upper limits in our life when we exist and spend a lot of time in our zones that are out below our zone of genius. And I believe so wholeheartedly that we are created with these beautiful, like divine gifts. And for so many of us, we spend time doing the things that we can do because we know how, instead of allowing ourselves to be supported in those things so that we can stay in our zone of genius. So, highly recommend that book if you haven't read it, walking into the new year. But this applies across all areas of life. Like, if I want to be the best wife and best mom and best friend and best coach that I can be, what type of support could I enlist that would allow me to be her? And so I'm really pulling this apart and really dissecting, like, what do I want to set down that I spend time and energy and attention on throughout my days, that if I was to be able to find someone to take on some of those things. And the coolest part for me is, as I have brought in more support into our life and into my business, I'm realizing what a gift it is to the people that I'm hiring or that I'm sourcing things out to, because those things are their zone of genius. So not only am I allowing myself to stay in my zone of genius, but when I hire someone to support me, I'm hiring them in their zone of genius. And it's been such a gift to watch. And so I'm really going to try to take that to a whole new level this year, is how can I support myself at a really, really deep level to allow me to stay at my best and really receive that help and really honor the fact that that allows those other people that I bring into my world to stay in their zone of genius. It's so cool. It feels like such deep alignment. It feels like we've all been given this like universal assignment, and when we find people who can support us, that are really excited about the support work that they're doing in any area of our life, it's such a gift to watch that and to do work in life with them. It's so incredible. And so I just want you to imagine, and maybe we just try this on for the next few weeks as we walk through the holidays, is where could you ask for more support? Where could you ask for help that might alleviate some of the pressure that you are feeling right now? If you were to believe that asking for help and support was not just a blessing for you, but was also such a gift to those people that you are asking for it from, where would you allow yourself to do this more? I want you to think about your next week. If you have downloaded my free Sunday sit down guide, which I will make sure is linked in the show notes as well, you will see that one of the steps in my Sunday sit down is asking for help. When I look at my weeks every Sunday, I go through them. I give myself lots of permission to change my mind on whatever is planned. And then I go, where can I ask for help? Where can I enlist support so that I can walk through my weeks feeling more peace, more ease, and more flow? It's part of my weekly process. It's such a gift to enlist that support on a weekly basis, on an ongoing basis. Where can I ask for help? Does one of your kids, can you ask for one of your friends to bring your kiddos home from their sports one night so that you can jump into your jammies at 5 p.m. and have a cozy night in? I did do that a couple weeks ago. I asked for one of my son's friends' moms to bring him home so that I could have a night in. Where can you trade out? Like, I love this whole concept of like, hey, if you guys want to go on date night, we'll take the kids that night and then you take our kids the next week. I think so often we block ourselves from receiving the support because we think it's going to be expensive, or we think we're going to put people out, instead of going like, let's do this for each other. And where are you dimming your desires for what you actually want because you are unwilling to enlist this type of support? I was coaching someone on my Sweet Spot Collective call a couple weeks ago, and she has this beautiful desire to host a party during the holidays. And she had all of these blocks about why she shouldn't do it or why she couldn't do it. And one of them was the food. And I said, "What if you hired out the food? What if you got takeout? Like, what would make this easier for you?" And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that." Instead of thinking she had to figure it all out herself and cook for all of these people, I'm like, "What if you got takeout and let it be easy for you so that during the party you could just enjoy yourself?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, that feels so much better." That's the type of support I'm talking about. It comes in tiny ways, it comes in big ways, like whatever would allow you to stay in peace and ease and flow more often. What would allow you to stay in joy? What would allow you to stay in your zone of genius, like I was talking about earlier? And so, where could you enlist more help in this season that might lighten your load a little bit? And trust me when I say your ego might try to speak up and go, "You don't need help." And you know what? It's right. You don't need it. You've proven that. If you're listening to this, my guess is that is true, is you have proven that you don't need help. But what if you choose it because you want it? What if you decide you are worthy of going through this season and going through this life, leaning into your desires, leaning into ease and peace and flow more often? And you decide to set that ego down and go, "I know you're trying to protect me, but there's no judgment here. There's no room for judgment here. I am at my best when I am fully supported." What if you trusted that? Because while I have a long way to go on this, the little bit that I have leaned into this has changed my life. And so I'm excited to walk into the new year going like, this is going to be such a focus for me. I am going to feel the most supported I've ever been and felt in 2026. And quite honestly, I can't wait to see what I create, because I am going to exist in peace and ease and flow and exist in my zone of genius and allow myself to be the version of me that I want to be in every container of my life, because I'm going to choose to be supported in as many ways as possible. And I think it's the greatest gift that those of us that have hung our hats on independence, I think I've told you guys this before, but I think it was like third or fourth grade, I wrote independent on my haiku poem at school. Like, I have identified with this for so long. And while I do think there is beauty in being competent as a human, I think it can also block us from the blessing of feeling support, trusting that there is a co-creation happening in the universe, both with the universe and with all of the people that we do this beautiful life with. And the more we enlist support, the more we can stay in our gifts and be a blessing to this world. Like, I believe it so deeply. So my excitement is really real, because I'm like, now I get to focus on this really intentionally for the month of January is what I'm choosing right now, but and let that carry through for the year of 2026. Which leads me to, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you probably know that I do monthly mood boards. And we do these together inside of the Sweet Spot Collective. And honestly, it is one of my favorite rituals. You guys know I talk so much about my rituals. I have daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual rituals. I know it sounds a little crazy, but once you find rituals that support your highest self, it's really impossible to deny yourself of them, because they change your life. And I used to do an annual, we'll just call them what they are. I used to really be a New Year's resolution girly. Like, I would hit that reset button after probably throwing caution to the wind for the month of December. And I would hit the reset button in January, and I would set these big, scary, audacious, big ass goals for the year. And I think I was right on point with the average, that by about February 10th, I think is the date, I would fall off. And that is the statistic, by the way, that by the first or second week of January, I think 90% of New Year's resolutions have fallen away. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And so instead of New Year's resolutions or an annual vision board, I now do monthly mood boards. And I have a whole backstory as to why I even call them mood boards versus vision boards. And we will get into that during our workshop. But I am hosting on January 6th a 90-minute workshop where we are not only going to talk about the monthly mood board method, which is the process that I walk through the first week of every month, where I do this really incredible reflection of the prior month. I get really connected to myself, and then I set my intentions for the month ahead. But I'm also going to provide the Canva template for you. You guys are going to be able to demo it live right there on the call. I think it's going to be really, really fun. I'm also going to offer live coaching for anyone that attends live. And so I definitely want you to get this on your calendar. It is January 6th at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. I'm going to link this in the show notes as well. But come and join us. I'm going to be doing a fun little giveaway for anyone that comes live, which I'm really, really excited about. But I think you guys are going to love this. This process, this monthly pause, where not only do I reflect on the month before, but I also do some deep intention setting for the month ahead, which is how I choose very intentionally the images that I put on my mood board. And then I plaster that mood board in as many places as I can. You guys have seen it. I put it on the desktop of my laptop, the desktop of my computer here in my office, the wallpaper on my phone. I put it in the places that I look at the most when I am on devices, and I love seeing it. I always make it really moody so that when I see the images, I know exactly what intention is behind each one. And it has, looking back especially at 2025, at all of my monthly mood boards, in full disclosure, I did miss the month of September. I started it, I never finished it. So here's my messy and perfect self, fully admitting. But I had 11 of them from this year. And when I look back at this year and think about what I created because I took that time at the beginning of each month to check in with myself and do this powerful reflection and set the intention for my month. I can't even tell you guys like what came to life because I took that space to connect with the version of me that I needed to become that month to bring the things to life that mattered most to me. And that's really why this is so powerful. Is it's really easy to find pictures that might reflect what you want for your big dreams that are really futuristic. But when we go granular and we decide we're just talking about the next 30 days, it is so powerful to see how setting intentions on a more granular level like that can absolutely not just change your brain, but change your life. And so I hope you will join us. It's free. The link will be in the show notes as well. Like I said, if you have any questions, message me on Instagram. But I'm so excited to spend this time with you guys and to help you lean into this tool that has truly changed my life. So I'm sending you guys so much love. I want to circle back one more time, and I want you to pause right now, and I want you to check in and say, how am I really? And then I want you to ask ask yourself, what would it look like to ask for help this week and actually receive it? What do I need most? And who can I enlist, or what can I enlist to support me in a way that would feel so good and lead to just a little bit more peace, a little bit more ease this week? Give yourself this gift. I'm sending you so much love. I'm thinking of you all. I'm messaging with so many of you right now, which is such a gift. If this hits home for you, would you do me a favor and share it, or leave a review, or tell a friend about it? I'm so grateful for those of you that are doing that and then telling me. I can't even tell you. It just like lights me up to know that these messages are getting out to so many people. And I'm just so grateful for all of you. I'm sending you all so much love. I hope you have an incredible week, and we will see you in the next episode.